Good morning, all of you. We'll continue with Nazism and the rise of Hitler. Okay, so we have done the introduction part. We have also seen that why the Weimar Republic it was not accepted by its own people. Okay, yes, why was Weimar Republic not accepted by its own people? What do you think?
Because they blamed them or because they blamed them that because of them they did the peace treaty and they were the reason why we lost the war.
Okay, right. Who were called as the November criminals?
Ma'am, who supported them? Ma'am, the ma'am, the
Those who supported the Weimar Republic were called the November criminals.
And they are mentioned also. Who all supported the Weimar Republic?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
socialists,
socialists, Catholics, and
Catholics, and
Democrats.
Democrats.
Okay, and that is why they were called as the November criminals. Okay, then we also did that the First World War it led a deep imprint on European society and politics, and now soldiers were given a lot of importance, a lot of glory, and politicians and they also laid great stress that men they need to be aggressive and strong and masculine. And media when they wrote or they talked about trench life in such glorious words, but the truth was very different. The truth was that the soldiers who lived in the trenches, they led very miserable lives. And why miserable lives? Why miserable lives? Why the soldiers who were in the trenches they led miserable lives?
Ma'am, because they faced poisonous gas, enemy shelling, and witnessed their land reduced rapidly.
One more point is given there. What is that?
Ma'am, they were trapped with rats feeding on
Yes,
corpses.
they were trapped in trenches with rats feeding on corpses, dead bodies. And so, the media they talked about trench life in such glorious words that as if it was something very glorious, but the truth was very different. And these people, the soldiers, they lived miserable lives in these trenches. And uh, war propaganda people, and they talked about war in such glorious terms, and talked about national honor, give your life for the sake of the country and all that. And so at this time what happened, even some support it started to grow even for conservative dictatorship. And this new idea has just come into being. And all these instabilities in society, in politics, and in money matters and economics and all that. And so the instabilities of interwar Europe, interwar why? Because they were fighting among each other. So the instabilities of interwar, they were so much that democracy it could not survive there. Why? Because democracy was still a young and fragile idea. Because democracy at this time, why it was young and fragile? Yes. Why we are saying that democracy was still a young and fragile idea?
because it was just introduced in Germany.
Right, because it was just introduced. It was just in its infant stage. It was just introduced there. And that is why, democracy was a young and fragile idea, and it could not survive the instabilities of interwar Europe. Okay, that leads us to the next topic, political radicalism and economic crisis. Now, at the same time that this Weimar Republic was born, it also coincided with the uprising, a revolutionary uprising of a body which is called as the Spartacist League, and that was on the pattern of Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. We did Russian Revolution, you remember that? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And there were two groups of people, Mensheviks and Bolsheviks, you remember that?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
All right.
ma'am.
Who were Mensheviks and who were Bolsheviks? Do you remember anything? Let's see.
were the socialist uprising led by Vladimir Lenin.
Okay, now Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. Now, Bolsheviks thought that the party it should be disciplined and there should be a control on the number and quality of members. Whereas the Mensheviks they believe that everyone should be free to join the party. All right. So Mensheviks believe that everyone should be free to join the party, whereas what did the Bolsheviks believe? That party should be disciplined and there should be some control, all right, on the number and quality, both on the number as well as quality of members. So Spartacist League, which was on the pattern of Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, so it was also formed. So now both of these things coincided: birth of Weimar Republic and at the same time the revolutionary uprising of the Spartacist League. So, as a result, what happened? Soviets of workers and sailors were established. Soviets means yes,
Ma'am, a council.
council, right? So, councils of workers and sailors they were established in many cities as a result of that, and the political atmosphere in Berlin at that time, it was charged with the demands for Soviet style of governance. Now, people, because they were not happy with democracy and they thought that because of democracy, they had to suffer so much, and that is why now they wanted that they should have government which is based like Soviet or Russia. All right. So that is what they wanted. Now the atmosphere in Berlin, Germany, now there also the people they started demanding for Soviet style governance in their own country. And now obviously there were many who were opposed to that because everyone was not in favor of dictatorship, all right, and Bolshevik type of thing that happened in Russia. If you remember what happened in Russia, was it a democratic government? Yes, you remember Russian Revolution. When they started, obviously they started good, but by the end what happened? Yes, by the end what happened? It was more of a dictatorship type of government there. This noise is too loud. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Bear for little while. Now, so there were some people who were opposed to that, and who all were opposed. Now, all those who were opposed were the ones who supported the Weimar Republic. So, the socialists, Democrats, and Catholics, where did they all meet? They met at Weimar to give shape to the democratic republic. So all those who were opposed to the Bolshevik type of government in Berlin, they met together so that they can give shape to a democratic republic in Germany. And the Weimar Republic, they were able to crush this uprising of the Spartacist League with the help of a war veteran organization which was called as Free Corps. So, you need to remember two things: that birth of Weimar Republic coincided with revolutionary uprising of the Spartacist League. Spartacist League, what they wanted, they were on the pattern of Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and these people they wanted that in Germany also they should have a Soviet style of governance. But people who opposed, now they met together at Weimar so that in Germany they can make a democratic republic. And the Weimar Republic, they were able to crush this uprising with the help of an organization, war veterans organization, which was called as the Free Corps. And the anguished Spartacist later founded the Communist Party of Germany. anguished, obviously they were defeated. So they were not happy. Would they be happy?
No, ma'am.
Obviously, so
No, ma'am.
they were not happy. So later on, these Spartacists only, they founded the Communist Party of Germany. And communists and socialists, after that, they became irreconcilable. Means now, they became enemies, and no reconciliation could be made between them. And that is why when Hitler arose on the scene, so they could not get together to fight against them, because obviously, because they were defeated, and so because of that bitterness and all, and the differences that they had become so great that when Hitler came on the scene, so they were not able to come together to fight unitedly against Hitler. Both revolutionaries and militant nationalists craved for radical solutions, and at that time in Germany, revolutionaries and nationalists, but militant nationalists. Who are nationalists? First, tell me that. Who are nationalists? Come on. Yes, class 9. Feeling of nationalism. We did in class 8. Love, loyalty for the country. Who are ready to fight for the country, even lay down their lives. But here,
Yes, ma'am.
and like in India, under the leadership of Gandhiji and all, we had that, basically, we had non violent people here. All right. So, even their movements that were led here, they were non violent in nature. But here we are talking about militant nationalists. Militant means those who were ready to use force, arms, and weapons. All right. So both the revolutionaries here and the militant nationalists, they wanted radical solutions, means quick solutions, and solutions that would change everything. Now, political radicalization was only heightened by the economic crisis. Okay, now what is political radicalism? Basically, that means altering or changing social structures through revolutionary means, and changing value system in fundamental way. So, political radicalism means changing social structure. How do you change the social structure? Through revolutionary means. All right. So political radicalization, now this was heightened. It was increased by the economic crisis. People, they wanted change in the politics of Germany. Means they wanted a change in this way Germany was being governed. And this was heightened. It increased by the economic crisis that they were facing. Now, Germany, they had fought the war largely on loans. So, here we are talking about what happened in Germany after the First World War. So, what happened that Germany, they had fought the First World War mainly on loans, and now they had to pay war reparations in gold. Means, they were see the meaning of reparation, make up for a wrong done. It was said that Germany was held responsible for war. You remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
first they already had fought this war on loans. And now not only they had to, return or pay back those loans, but they also have to pay the penalty also. All right. So what happened? This depleted, this reduced or made empty their gold reserves at such a time when resources were scarce. And we have already seen that what this Treaty of Versailles meant to Germany. If you remember, they lost their overseas colonies, population, 13% of its territories, 75% of its iron, 26% of its coal. Then Germany, and we also did that study that the Allied armies, they occupied the resource rich Rhineland for most of 1920s. So in this condition, you know and then loans also they have to pay back. Then not only that, they also had to pay the allies money, and now so this depleted or reduced the gold reserves, and at such a time when they did not have any resources, because they already lost 75% of their iron, 26% of its gold, and whatever resource rich area they had, it was occupied by the allied armies. And so in 1923, Germany, it refused to pay. It said we will not pay, means we are not in the condition to pay. So how will we pay? So they said in 1923 Germany, they refused to pay, and so as a result what happened? French occupied its leading industrial area, Ruhr, to claim their coal. And so when Germany, they said okay, we will not pay you money to the allies. So what happened? French, they came and occupied the industrial area Ruhr so that they can get their coal. So if you remember, we studied that they lost 75% of its land, 26% of its coal to France, Poland, Denmark and Lithuania. So when they were not able to pay back, France, they came and occupied their leading industrial area Ruhr so that they can get their coal from there. Now Germany, they retaliated, means with passive resistance, means when you resist by non-violent methods, that is called as passive resistance. So they did not, Germany did not fight back. Obviously they could not fight back at this time. So what they did, they printed paper currency recklessly. They started to just print money. All right. And as a result, what happened? There was too much printed money in circulation, and as a result, the value of the German mark, it fell. There is a certain rule like that we could have money in circulation in our country according to the gold reserves that the country has. You know that? Any idea? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we can't, ma'am, make or ma'am print money more than our economy, ma'am. Ma'am, it won't have that much value.
Right. Because what happens, whatever gold reserves we have, we have Reserve Bank of India. So we have some gold reserves there. According to the value of those gold reserves only, we can print money or we can have money in circulation in our country. Because if we go on printing more money, then what will happen? The value of the money, it will fall down. All right. And so the same thing, it happened in Germany also. Now there was too much printed money in circulation, so the value of the German mark, it fell. And in April, the US dollar was equal to 24,000 marks. In July, it was 3,53,000 marks. And in August, it was how much? 4 crores or 46 lakh 21,000 marks. Yes, 46 lakh 21,000 marks. And by December, see, it is 98 crore 8 lakh 60,000 marks by December. And by December, the figure has run into trillions. And so basically what happened, the value of the mark, it collapsed, and the prices of good soared. Now what happened means, there was no value of their money, of their currency was mark. And now they had the currency mark, it did not have any value. And the image of Germans carrying cart loads of currency notes just to buy a loaf of bread, they were published throughout the world, and also it evoked worldwide sympathy. Means the value, it became so less that just to get a loaf of bread, they had to give a cart load of currency notes, because there was so much printed notes in country, and there was no value to that money. And so just to buy a loaf of bread, they had to carry cart loads of currency just to buy that. And this crisis came to be known as hyperinflation, a situation when prices, they rise phenomenally high. All right. And so basically what we can say, that the condition of Germany, it was so bad. And so finally what happened, the Americans, they intervened and they bailed Germany, helped Germany to get out of this crisis. And how they did it? By introducing the DOS plan. And what was this was basically, what was this all about? So that Germany can get out of this hyperinflation, and so that, their economy can return to some sort of stability. So US, it gave them short term loans. That was the Dawes plan, that to help Germany get out of hyperinflation, and so that their economy could return to some sort of stability, USA, they said that okay, we will give you certain short term loans. And they also reworked the terms of reparation to ease the financial burden on Germans. And they also did that, the money that they had to pay back to the allied countries, now they also, eased the burden on Germans, so that they don't have to pay that money, at a single time. And basically what we can say is that they increase the number of years, so that the amount that they had to pay for each year, it became less, so that Germany can work on its economy and bring about some sort of stability to its economy. Have you understood this much? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. Okay, so for today we will stop here, because the other topic again in itself is a big one. So that we'll do when we meet again.